let's get Angel in here. He says, my heart goes out to San Diego and all the Padre fans. Peter Seidler is one of the nicest people, and he's the reason why the Padres went from fire sale every season to one of the National League elite.
He's one of the most unique human beings I think I've ever met. And I've done this for a long time as a talk show host and as an NFL voice. And he is just, as an owner, he has to be the most unique owner I think I've ever met. I mean, what a kind, generous, intelligent person. There was everything good was about him.
Oh yeah, unbelievable. And there's a lot of other people here that are commenting that all have words of love to share. Rest in peace, Peter Seidler. This is from Hitman 6191. Rest in peace, Peter Seidler. Thank you guys for coming on in these difficult times.
Tell you what, he's probably up there at the gates trying to sell a season ticket to his St. Peter at the gate in heaven, trying to get that guy to buy season tickets for Padre baseball.
Yeah, he is. We got some more comments here. This one's from John. He says, June Jones was the interim head coach of the Chargers.
Oh, that's right.
When Kevin Punching Bag Gilbride was fired.
That's right. June Jones and Mike Riley were part of that entourage.
Yes, I knew there was something.
During the Ryan Leaf era, and that didn't work out very well. I felt bad. I've known June forever, and I obviously have a really great relationship with Mike Riley. And Chargers had left our station. I had become the voice of the Seattle Seahawks and went up there for 3 years. And that first year after Gilbride got bounced, we played the Chargers at the end of the season. Seahawks were still in the AFC West. And I went back and looked this up this past week because I had forgotten how bad it was. And the Seahawks just blew them into the parking lot. And Ryan Leaf and Craig Wheelahan between them threw 7 interceptions in one game.
Oh, my God.
Up in the Kingdom. I couldn't believe it. It just so I was excited the Seahawks won, and I kind of looked across into the owner's box and said, hey, take that.
It's interesting bringing up Kevin Gilbride because I remember when he was the head coach, Charger fans were just so angry. It was a difficult time for the team.
Well, he came in with great credentials.
Yes, as an offensive coordinator.
And then his personality flipped. It was terrible. And it was complicated because he lost Stan Humphries.
Oh, yeah.
Humphries that first year suffered a season-ending concussion on just a brutal hit in Cincinnati. He never played in the NFL again. And the Chargers never won a game the rest of that season after Humphries went down. And then next year it started just as bad. And it was just a terrible, terrible time. But Brainlock, yeah, June Jones was here for about 15 minutes with Mike Riley. They were fun guys, but at that point in time, the roster was falling apart.
Yeah, crazy times. Let's go here to Gary. He says, are the Chargers going to throw in the towel and ride the Staley disaster till the end of the season?
Well, I don't think he's going to get fired now, but this is a tough hill for them to run up, John. It's not that they're going to Green Bay, Lambeau, and the frozen tundra. I don't think it's going to be like that. But they still got to play Buffalo, and they still got to play Baltimore. And they got to go play the Raiders in Vegas. They still got to play Mahomes in Kansas City and Andy Reid.
Oh,
so they've got some really tough games. And, I think for them, because everything else that's happening in the AFC, I think somebody's going to need to win 10. I don't know how they're going to get to 10 wins because they're 4-5 right now.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see them making the playoffs at all. But, let's say Kevin Gilbride and then Brandon Staley, both coordinators that never really worked as head coaches.
Well, as Tony Romo said on the Sunday night broadcast, how in the world is Justin Herbert a 500 quarterback with his talent? Well, it's a team. It's a franchise.
Yeah.
It's chargering.
Yeah, exactly.
We move on.
Moving on. And this is from Howard. He says, Hacksaw, I miss listening to you on the radio. I'm glad I found you. You were one of the best on radio when it comes to sports talk and without the nonsense.
Well, it proves one thing. If you do this long enough, you should get good enough at it.
Yeah.
And I did. I'm not apologizing for being bleeping brilliant, but I miss it. I really do. I wish that some of these talk show hosts would have called me and said, hey, Lee, come on and talk about Peter Seidler. Nobody did. I don't know whether it's media jealousy or maybe they don't like what I did, don't respect what I did, but that's why we're doing our own shows here. And this thing is just absolutely blowing up, but had a good run, do miss it. Still have a lot of friends in the industry, stay in contact. It's weird. I know I'm wired different. I'm wired different.
Just a little.
Thank you. I'm still friends with the guys who fired me or bought me out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still friends with each of them. It's kind of, I'm wired differently. I'm stupid.
Well, I know a lot of fans of Kaplan and crew have been asking Scott to book you on his show.
He keeps saying, I will. And because I email with him all the time, I'm waiting. Maybe I'll have him on our show and I'll trade off. He'll have me on his show.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
We carry on.
Okay, let's go to Steve. And he says, finally, the hockey thug is charged. Dirty play, and there was intent.
Well, I looked at it. I saw a lower ice angle, and that defenseman hit the other player at center ice, and their skates, it looked like their skates tapped, and he went off balance, and his left leg went up in the air. I don't. Now he was flying. I mean, he was just not skating, not figure skating. I mean, he was flying to make a check to take that player away from the puck. I don't see it as being manslaughter. I don't understand it, unless I'm missing an angle, and I haven't been able to find different angles. But I saw low level angle where the defenseman lost his balance and that left leg shut up. It was terrible.
What are some other cases in pro sports where a player died on the field or on the court, not from, like a heart problem, but like some form of impact? Like Daryl Stingley was injured.
Well, he got injured on a violent hit.
Right.
It was an old Detroit Lion wide receiver who died on the field. He had a heart attack on the field, Chuck Hughes. There have not, I don't think there have been any other fatalities in pro football. In baseball, guys got beamed and died, but I don't think not on the field. I think there's one major leaguer who died, Ray Chapman. This goes back to 1920 Cleveland Indians history. He got hit in the head, and of course they didn't have helmets back then. He got hit in the head and he died on the way to the hospital. He was hit in a Yankee Cleveland Indian game. But I don't think there have been any modern day fatalities.
Yeah, well, thank goodness. But I saw just a still photo of Adam Johnson in the skate, and it was really weird the way the guy's body and the leg was way up in the air. It didn't seem natural. So I have a hard time seeing that as intent.
Well, I think if you just go back in YouTube, maybe you'll be able to find. It took me a while to chase it down, but maybe you'll get the same angle. We'll talk more about it.
Okay, let's get some social media comments in here. We got a bunch of those as well. Let's get a shot here at the Raiders. This is from Joey, and he says, the Raider fan is not the brightest demographic. Most aren't capable of change or dressing themselves without assistance, for that matter.
Oh, shame on you for piling on those people. Do you want to repeat it again? Hey, Raider fan is passionate. That's cool. That's great. I met, there's a guy who was in Oakland, and he went to all the Raider games in LA and came to San Diego to watch the Raiders play the Chargers. And he was the guy that had all the paint, face paint, and he had the spikes on his shoulder pads. Nicest gentleman at all. Now, I don't think I'd give him all my money being a banker investor as he was, but cool guy. So he gave me a picture, autographed picture. So I put it up on the wall. So Raider fans, because, hey, Hacksaw's got one friend. But hey, they're passionate, they're cool. But somewhere along the way, don't you have to hold accountability to what this franchise has become, or you're just doing it blind faith?
Well, I've been reading all the comments on social media, and they take pride in being Raider Nation for life, kind
family,
of like Aztec for life, and they're going to stick with the Raiders through, thick and thin. But they still remember being 13-0 on Monday Night Football. They still remember their 3 Super Bowl trophies. They're a diehard group, man. And you got to give them credit for sticking with them when the times get tough.
Oh, yeah. They use the word family all the time in Raider Nation. And my response is, Raider fan out of jail on bail, call now.
All right, let's get a couple more comments here. And this one is from Dodger 607. He says, because you were talking about the Lakers and all their challenges. He says, the Lakers made 22 3-pointers last night. I guess you missed that.
Well, that was a couple nights ago.
Correct.
Yeah. Thank God they're playing Memphis. Memphis without Ja Morant and with a 2-8 record. So I'll just spin this back. Is there a return button on this computer we can hit? So the Dodger fan here will understand that when I looked up on TV last night, they had a 20-point lead. The Lakers did. And when next time I looked up, they were down by 26.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And they lost.
Yeah. Well,
to Sacramento, which had been playing really poorly out of the gate. So they're work in progress. My biggest concern, as we said on that one Instagram post that we shot at you, is my biggest concern is we're 2 weeks into the season? and we've already had injuries to LeBron and AD.
Mhm.
And if they're not on the court and Austin Reeves is not playing like Austin Reeves played a year ago, they don't look competitive at all right now. So no, there's a lot of basketball to be played, but so yeah, you can pile on and say, hey, they hit 22 trays, and I'll respond. Yeah, last night they were down by 26. First time I punched it up.
Let's get another comment here. This is from Mixtape Manny, and he says, Padres could have Jesus manage the team and they will still come in third place. When they realize it's not the manager, it's the GM that has created this oil slick, that will be a game changer.
1 year. That's all he's got left. Preller's got 1 year to rally this thing back. Now, that being said, if he holds this roster together, I do believe those guys are going to hit better next year because they were all substandard statistically this season. And I trust AJ to go find players because that's what AJ's history has been. When he signed all those guys out of Japan and he gave them all $5 and $8 million a year contracts, I said, what? Nick Martinez and Suarez and Luis Garcia, and I knew Garcia because he had pitched with the Cardinals. I said, boy, that's strange. But I'll tell you what, the 2 years those guys have been here together, they've repaid the team. They played very well. Now the price tag always goes up on guys, but let's let AJ do his thing, and then we'll make our evaluation. But in the big picture, he's got an issue because the buffer there is no longer there with the passing of St. Peter.
Right.
And now that he will be held accountable by a different set of people with a different criteria. So they're gonna reel him in financially in terms of the budget, and he can't afford to be making catastrophic financial investments that don't work out. And the other problem is he can't trade any of these guys. Nobody wants those contracts for the years of those contracts with the player's age as part of the contracts. Does that make sense?
Yeah. They're in a really tough position. But think of this through. The Padres had the Cy Young Award winner. They had 2 Gold Glovers.
Yep.
Juan Soto was a Silver Slugger for left field. Did Tatis win the Platinum Glove?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the best defensive player in all of the National League, I think.
And they didn't make the playoffs.
And that's the point. And they also had like a run differential of like about 100 or something like that. It's incredible they didn't make it last year.
So that's where we are. I think he's got 1 year to solve it, but I trust him because he puts lots of boots on the ground and they go find players. Now, he may have to pay these players a little bit differently because St. Peter won't be there to give him the blank check, I don't think, going forward. But a year from today, maybe they're a playoff team and they're going to be good. Or maybe a year from today, we're talking about who the next general manager might be.
Oh, yeah. Here we go again.
One more.
Let's talk a little F1 because got that big race in Vegas coming up. This is from Johnny, and he says, there isn't any anti-American sentiment as F1 rights are now owned by Liberty, which is an American company, and F1 has 3 races in America. Not sure what 5 you were talking about. The teams are against sharing the money with anyone. Doesn't matter if it's USA or not.
Well, it's interesting because Michael Andretti just did a deal with Cadillac and GM, and they're going to build his engines. Obviously, they're waiting to get approval, and they're running in. The other 10 teams don't want them there. They don't want to share the pie. But if you bring Andretti and Cadillac in, and they do really well, and it's a challenge, and being American and going F1 is really hard to make a team successful. But Andretti's got this great track record. If that happens, then you got an American entry, which I think makes the marketing of F1 even bigger as a financial boom, which means they're going to add 2 more races. I don't know if they're going back to Montreal, but they're going to at least 2 more locales stateside in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years. But if you had an American team carrying the F1 flag and it was Michael Andretti, whose track record speaks for itself, but they have to change the psyche of the Euro teams, which right now are dominated by Red Bull and used to be dominated by Mercedes, and everybody else seems to be starving. And the response, I was told the response last Friday from the F1 side was, we don't want you as an expansion team. We don't want to go beyond the 10 teams that are on the grid. Buy one of these money trouble teams and take that over. So if Andretti does not finally get approved, he's done everything, the $200 million fee and all the contracts, that's all been done up to snuff. If they won't let him in, then maybe he has to buy the Sauber team or one of these other second-tier teams, and he'll have to take it over and they'll fire everybody.
Yeah.
But there'll be 10 teams on the grid still rather than in 11th.
It's like kind of like buying a liquor license, you know? There's only so many of them to go around, and you buy the place and you blow it out and you start over. Hey, what do you think of that course in Las Vegas? I saw the map of it and it looked pretty cool.
Well, they're going down the strip. There's a lot of screaming
Mhm.
that this has been unfair to all the hotels and the businesses, because they charged all the hotels that have windows that look out onto the main thoroughfare.
Mhm.
They have to pay a fee.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the ticket prices were absurd. And everybody was excited when the announcement, Grand Prix Las Vegas on the strip, hotels, parties, and all that. And pile of people bought a lot of really expensive tickets, like $2,000 a ticket.
Wow.
There are so many tickets available now on the second, what do you call it?
Yeah,
Resale.
the resale market. Yeah.
Tons. And there's tons of hotel rooms available. I don't know if this is going to be a boondoggle financially, but F1 went in and said, you got to pay this price. And the hardcores bought it at that price, and nobody's bought it since. There's a phenomenal number of tickets available in hotel spaces not rented out. And the drivers aren't happy. It's kind of weird. Max Verstappen said yesterday, he says they turned this thing into a circus. He says we have no time to prepare for this race because they got us going here, there, everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So some of the drivers are not real happy with the storyline either. So we'll see what the race is like, but I think they overpriced everything, and now there just seems to be a chunk of lash back there.
Well, it sounds a little bit like Snapdragon Stadium in the Aztec games.
Yeah.
They're charging too much. And I know that the Aztec basketball is going to be in Vegas, and Mark Ziegler was talking about how the hotel prices were so high because of the F1 race. But I'm going to watch it. I think it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, very much so. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed our Thursday podcast with